What's up, everybody? This is Round by Round with Derek and Daniel, and today we're going to talk about uh, how to organize a boxing program, how to set it up, what are all the essential things that you should be doing to get ready for a fight or to get your body in shape for boxing, pretty much. If it's getting ready for a spar, getting ready for an amateur fight, a professional fight, there's obviously levels to all of that, but you see a lot of fighters, professional fighters on the TV and on the social media outlets, and you see them doing all this training, and a lot of people have questions on how they set up everything. There's so many things in boxing. You have your shadow boxing, your bag work, your road work, and your floor work, which is calisthenics. You have all these different aspects of boxing, and it's like, well, how do you fit all this in? Today, I'm going to help people maybe understand that a little bit better. All right, so the first thing you do, like that, and this is all based off what professionals do, and the first thing that I've noticed, and the first thing that I like to do, me and my brother like to do, is like to break up our actual rounds, like training rounds, all right? Whether it be 2-3 minute rounds, training rounds, and that's how you count your volume per se. That's how you're able to track how much you've been training. You know what I mean? It's up to you to go hard in those rounds and make the most of those rounds, because if you're putting in 100 rounds and I'm putting in 50, but I'm going much harder on those rounds, then I'm training harder than you. But if you have to find that balance, you know what I mean, where it's an amount of rounds you can go hard on, but you're still putting in a good amount, quality rounds.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump in right here. Whenever you're putting in like a certain amount of rounds per week, you want to stick to like at least 100 rounds a week. Let's start off for a pro fighter. They would want a little bit more. You want to mix in your skills on the bag. So you want to be doing power shots, fast punches, and combos. And then you want to do conditioning on the bag, which will be like just
Punch out
nonstop,
drills.
drills on the bag where you just nonstop punching.
Power shot drills.
Power shot drills. These are all things that will help you during a fight, get you conditioned, get your arms conditioned, get your breathing right, because working on the bag, it helps with your breathing too. Running, everything like that helps with breathing. This is all things that you'll need in this sparring, or a pro fight or amateur fight, whatever you're training for. It doesn't even have to be a fight in front of people. It could be just a sparring match. You want to get your training right. So we'll go ahead and jump into 4 categories for the way you would train. So
yeah, the 4. It's also it's gonna be your shadow boxing, any type of shadow boxing, and that you want to use as part of your warm up. If you have a dedicated warm up, that's fine, but just remember that training for boxing takes enormous amounts of time, especially if you're putting in 100 rounds a week. I mean, it takes time. You're looking at 20 rounds a day, 5 days. That's 100 rounds. So
yeah, you break them up though.
Yeah, you would break them up. So the way you would do your shadow boxing, if you would do it to warm up, start off slow, work on technique.
And I would suggest 6 rounds with that. So that's 6 rounds out of the 20.
Yeah. And see, the thing with the amount of rounds, it's going to change. It's going to be very variable. It's going to vary because you're not going to do a consistent 100 rounds constantly. You're going to have where weeks or months out of the year or in your training camp where it's a significantly lower number. So let's say you just fought and you don't have a fight in the foreseeable future, maybe not for a couple of months. You'll bring your rounds down to 40 or 50. Because the reason why you would bring your rounds down to 40 or 50 rounds per week is so you don't get burnout, you don't get overuse injuries, but staying at the same frequency and the same intensity year round will lead to injuries. So it's smart to dial back your training when you don't have any fights in the foreseeable future and work on different aspects of your training. So let's say, if I just fought a month ago, I'm not going to be going 100 rounds in the gym a week, I promise you. I'm going to probably dial it down to 40, and the reason being is because I don't want to get any overuse injuries. I don't want to fry my nervous system out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking it very easy. I'm not going to be doing any type of hard conditioning. I might pick one day out of the week where I go and condition myself on the bag, or do other types of drills, some mitt work drills or something like that, where it's conditioning. But that's not going to be my main focus. My main focus is going to be working on my personal weak points. So for one fighter, it might be their footwork. For another fighter, it might be their head movement. For one fighter, it might be a particular punch that they don't throw as often as they should in a fight. So you just gotta. That's where a coach comes in handy, and that's where film and just knowing yourself as a fighter comes in handy, because now you know. All right, I need to work on this as a fighter. I need to work on staying light on my feet. So you'll put rounds and dedicate rounds to that. And shadowboxing is such a great tool because you can literally work on anything but your power. You can work on your speed, you can work on your head movement, you can work on your footwork, you can work on the in and out, you can work on your lateral movement, all this different type of movement. You could practice it in shadowboxing like no other form of training. So you use that as a warm up, yes, but you also use that as to work on your technique. And again, depending where you're at in your training, you would you would pick how much rounds you're gonna do. If you don't have a fight in this foreseeable future, I say go 3 rounds. 3 rounds is always a good rule of thumb, and I like to do everything by threes. It's just a personal preference of mine. If you want, you could do it by twos, you could do it by fours, you could do it by fives, you could do it by sixes, but I like to do it by threes. So like, let's say this is a typical training day for me. I like to spar, or I like to shadow box 3 rounds as a warm up. My first round will be slow, technical, focusing on footwork. My second round, I'll pick it up. My third round of my shadow boxing, I'll go all out. I'll go as fast as I can. I'll throw on my head movement with my footwork. I might use the slip bag. I might use a slip line. That's all part of the shadow boxing. But like I said, you build it up. You build it up, you go back down. Build it up, go back down. That's how our bodies are designed to work in a rhythm, in a beat, like a heartbeat, if you think about it.
And the reason I would say 6 rounds, like 6 rounds on shadow boxing, would be like after a fight. So like, let's just say you didn't win that fight, or you didn't do as good as you thought.
Yeah.
Go back, analyze your fight, look at what you did your mistakes on, then shadow box. Look in the mirror. Try to critique yourself.
Yeah, work on your weaknesses.
Even if it takes you 6 rounds, that's perfect. That's okay. It's still helping you develop a certain skill that you're lacking. So like, if your footwork is off, I would suggest you work on your footwork when you shadow box.
Yeah, put some tape on the ground and do pivots, in and outs, lateral movements, whatever you need.
And then if you're slacking on your speed, shadow box with some weights, like 1 pound.
Yeah, shadow box fast, man. Focus on.
Yeah, and you don't even have to do weights, actually. You could just do with your bare fist, but just try to throw crisp
faster
combos.
And faster every time.
Yeah, like try to throw some combos. Don't just throw like random.
Sir.
Like try to
focus on your weaknesses.
Focus and critique yourself. That's
exactly. I think shadowboxing is one of the best ways to do that too. But from shadowboxing, you have that. All right, 3 rounds of that, anywhere from 3 to 6 rounds of that. Depending. It's all personal preference. But then you would move on to any type of partner work. All right, and that's if you have that opportunity. If you do have a partner, training partner, or if you have a team you train with, or you have a coach.
There's things to take away from that. There's certain boxing equipment that you could use that would consist of a partner type workout.
Yeah. So the partner drills, I would say, is the best thing to do partner wise. Is obviously sparring, whether it be hard or light or whatever. If you want to get better at an activity, you do that activity. So if you want to get better at fighting, you fight. You know what I mean? Obviously, we have all these other drills and tools we use to get better at the certain aspects of it. But, sparring is going to be your greatest teacher. It's going to give you experience. And that's, number one go-to. But not everybody's going to have that accessibility to sparring. Then the second best would be your mitt work. You know what I mean? Whether they have the body shield on with the pads and working combinations. You know what I mean? And when I say work combinations, I don't just mean punches. You got to throw on your head movement and your footwork, your foot placement and your head movement in there like if they were punches. You know what I mean? So if you throw 1-2, throw that slip in there, throw that duck in there, throw that pivot, change angles. Get your body used to coming in and out, lateral movement, rolling, All these things, you throw them in together with your punches, so your defense and your punches are worked in as one. And pad work is the best way to do that, I believe. And that's, you know what I mean, I stand by that. You also have, the shields. There's round shields. You have medicine ball you could hold that someone could hit. Just different. Those are easier partner drills. So if you have a partner that's not as skilled on the mitts, because the mitts is a skill. I mean, that takes, you know what I mean? It takes months and years to critique how to use mitts. Like, not everybody is going to know how to use mitts. But when it comes to shields, if you have access and you could buy one of the round shields from Everlast or Cleto Reyes or Tidal or uh, Ringside, whatever, any of these boxing brands, they sell shields. Buy one of those shields because anybody could use that shield. You could take anybody off the street, walks into a boxing gym, and they could hold a shield for you. Okay, and this is it's easier on you than a heavy bag, and you can move different than a heavy bag, and you're getting used to that silhouette being in front of you. You're getting used to that person being in front of you. You know what I mean? Working the different levels, and they could tell you, oh, you're dropping your shoulder, oh, you're not bringing your hand back quick enough.
And
That person can critique you.
and this would be your strong part of your workout. This would be your main focus during your boxing training.
Oh yes, this.
Yeah, because this is the one where you want to go all out on. This is, you've already warmed up. You're already ready to go all out. You would probably put in 8, maybe 10 rounds on this right here.
Mhm.
Split it up, 4 rounds in sparring, 4 rounds on the mitts, body shield. Like, mix it up.
So yeah, and I like to do everything by threes, and I'll increase my rounds if I were to get closer to an event. But it all depends. If you go 3 rounds shadow boxing, you 3 rounds intense, 3 rounds on mitts, or three intense 3 rounds on sparring. It all adds up, and then that'll bring us to our next uh, uh, part of it, which is the third part, which is heavy bag work. The old school heavy bag work, man, whether it be a water bag, a round bag, a uppercut bag, just throwing hard and fast punches, going fight pace, going in and out on the bag, moving around the bag. So you're getting your lateral footwork in, you're mixing in the head movements with your punches. You're just going hard on the bag, at least for 3 rounds, going that fight pace for 3 rounds. So that's already 9 rounds right there. You're going 3 rounds shadow boxing, 3 rounds pad work, 3 rounds heavy bag work, and then your last part of it would be your double M bag. That'd be your cool down. So that's 12 rounds right there.
Yep.
And if you're doing, 12 rounds in a session, it's gonna take some time. That's gonna take at least 50 minutes, and at the end of those 50 minutes, you would do your groundwork. Any type of ab work, push-ups, pull-ups, any of the calisthenic things by nature. But to get back to the boxing, you would do 3, 3, and 3, and 3, which is 12 rounds. If you're doing that 4 days a week, that's 48 rounds. If you're doing it 5 days a week, that's 60 rounds. If you're doing it 6 days a week, because you could train, I would say train boxing very frequently. So 4 to 6 times a week. And if you're training frequently, 6 times a week with 12 rounds, it's 72 rounds. Now,
And that's really good. That's
and that's
pro
a good,
level right there.
it's high level amateurs for sure. There's definitely pros out there doing 72 rounds a week. And the thing is, if you're very intense in those 3 rounds and you're not slacking, because here's the problem we run into. If you're doing large amounts of rounds, it's only natural that your intensity will decrease. But if you're doing a very short amount of rounds, like, man, I got 3 rounds to hit on this bag. After that, I'm done. You're gonna go hard on those 3 rounds, and that's what you want. If you're planning on sparring 3 rounds at a time or 4 rounds at a time, make that your round. So if it's 4 rounds, then do your shadow boxing 4 rounds, do your pad work 4 rounds, do your heavy bag work 4 rounds, and do your cool down work 4 rounds. And your cool down work, I'll get more into that. That's double M bags, floor ceiling bags, and that's to work on your reflexes, rhythm. You have the speed bag, which is great for rhythm. It should be called a rhythm bag because that's really, really what it really is.
It
It's just
really is
getting
a
that
rhythm bag, right? I would
Yeah.
agree with that. That conditions your shoulders.
Shoulders, and just that hand-eye coordination, along with all the lighter bags. the lighter bags, the peanut bag, this your standard double end bags. You could even put a double end bag sideways.
Your
That's
spar
super hard to
bar,
get. Yeah, a spar bar, that new type of bag.
reflex bar,
Yeah,
which would be the one that would come back at you on a spring.
yeah. Look at Ryan Garcia. He loves that thing, dude. He kills it on there. Boom, 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 boom.
I know.
Hey,
I
you
like that
working your
too.
head moving in there too. It's sick, dude. Like, there's a lot. That's like the funner part of training. Like, so you're cooling
Yeah, you're
down.
cooling down. You're
Yeah,
finishing
and you're
up.
getting some good last final rounds in it, and you're not, killing yourself. You already killed yourself on the heavy bag. You already killed yourself on pad work. You warmed up with your shadow boxing, and now you're going back down. You're tapering down. It's like think of it like
Hill.
yeah, like a hill. Like you starting off with the shadow boxing, gets harder with the pad work. And then you're finishing off with that bag work, going the hardest, and then you're coming back down with that nice double and bag work.
And
Putting the
this is
cherry
the
on top.
fun. This is the fun stuff.
Yeah, this is where you could play around, relax a little bit. We just learn. And when I hit double in bags or anything like that, anything that's very light, uh, think of relaxing your muscles. Don't tense yourself, because tension is the number one killer of a boxer. Because when you're tense, you're using up a lot of energy, and you will gas the hell out. You're holding your breath. You're being tense. All your muscles are tense. Muscles in your face, jaw, neck, down are just tense, especially your traps and stuff. So when you're hitting these double end bags and taking it easy and cooling down, just work on staying loose,
Yeah, and that's all
because
you
it's
want
a
to do
skill.
in a fight. You want to learn how to fight loose.
Yes.
Like if you're fighting a double in bag,
Yeah, just
which
being
would be a
loose.
person.
Yes.
You don't fight them tense, because then they'll read you like a book.
Exactly. So
They see
when
when you
you when
throw.
you're doing your cool down and you're on those double end bags that are very easy, just work on staying loose and relaxed. And that's a skill in itself. So that's the last thing you're doing. So that's the last thing your body's gonna remember. You know what I mean? Because speed and power, all that stuff's great, but if you're tense, it ain't gonna mean shit. Because you're gonna gas out the first round and then you're gonna get your ass beat. So what's the point? You know what I mean? Just
And
learn to be relaxed. But I would say, a good rule of thumb, if you're just getting into it, start with 2 rounds of each, and that will be 8 rounds, and then you can move it up 3 rounds of each. That would be 12 rounds. Then you could go to 4, which would be 16. You could go to 5, which would be 20. And if you do 20 4 days a week, that's 100 rounds. You know
and
what I
you,
mean?
I mean, you wouldn't want to go over that. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, but if you do get to the level where you feel like you need to go over that,
Yeah, but just remember, don't do anything if you're losing intensity, especially if you're losing intensity in your partner work, your sparring or your pad work, and you're losing intensity in your heavy bag work, just cut it out. Keep at a low volume. Most people will do better at a low volume, but very intense, very frequent, very intense, and very low volume. Because
and
your
it,
frequency, those rounds add up throughout the week.
and I guess it just all depends on the boxer too, because if a boxer is already an intense fighter, like he already punches very hard, but he needs to work on his conditioning, up the rounds. But if he needs to work on his speed and power, lower down the rounds.
And make them more intense.
Yeah, make them more intense. Go more hard on the bag. Go more hard on the sparring. Just go lower on the rounds.
Well, and that's another aspect of it too. When you hit the bags, there's if you're needing to work on conditioning, there's special drills you do for that. It's called a 30-30 drill. You know what I mean? And that 30-30 drill it's will wear you out. It'll break you off. All right. It's you're going all out, straight punches, 1-2s for 30 seconds, as hard as you can, hard and quick as you can. Boom, 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 30 seconds, and then you're clinching that bag for 30 seconds. It's a partner drill, but you could also do it by yourself, and you're doing that for 10 minutes straight, and it will break you down. All right, and you could do an infinite amount of rounds of that. Okay, so you don't have to just do 10 minutes. You could do 15 minutes of it. You could do 20 minutes of it. You could do 30 minutes of it. But the whole idea is to condition yourself to throw hard and fast, very, very, for a long length of time. And, use drills like that to increase conditioning.
And
And I would say do those conditioning drills twice a week.
and you could do those. So you would do the 8, 10, 12, 16, 20 rounds in the afternoon, and you would want to put your running in the morning, like right away before you wake up.
Yeah.
Getting ready for a fight, you want to put in probably 5-6 miles. But throughout the year, try to put it in at least 3 or 4 or 5. You can up it to 8, 9, 10. These are all pro level running drills that you would do.
Yeah, and the running, when it comes to running, what I've noticed is when you increase your running frequency and distance. So like if you're doing it 4 days a week and you're increasing the distance, your boxing automatically gets better. I don't
And
know. I
yeah,
don't know why, but it
and
just
even
does.
if you stick with 4 rounds, what do you running your 4 miles at?
My 4 miles, I try to increase the speed every time. My goal is 30 minutes. Am I at 30 minutes? Hell no. But
30 minutes would be really good at four
it's quick.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fast
It's like a 7:30, 7 minutes, 30 minutes
for 4 miles.
for 4 miles, four
That's
times
pretty
in a
good.
row.
Yeah. And I would suggest you doing 3 or 4 miles, getting ready for a fight. Try if you're gonna stick with that amount of speed, because you got a trail you run or whatever. Try to up the time, like
Decrease
whatever
the
you.
time.
Yeah, decrease the time.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing too, when you're doing road work for fighting sports and especially boxing, don't just run straight. What
Do
you want to do
sprints.
is you would want to do lateral movement
Oh,
because it's
okay.
helping the
Yeah.
lateral muscles in your legs. It's getting your body used to moving laterally. Run backwards because it's like a back pedal. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize it, but you backpedal occasionally in a fight. Even if it's backpedaling at an angle, you're still backpedaling. It's getting the muscles in your legs and calves and feet used to, it's
Or
getting you used to
and
being lighter
even
on your
if I
feet.
heard this weekend. I heard this just yesterday. Try to walk sitting down in a sitting down position.
Oh, like in a squat, like a duck
Yeah,
walk.
squat, duck
It's a duck
walk.
walk. Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
you do drills with that, and then you sprint back, and you do a drill where you just duck walking, and then you sprint back. That'll help you out
It
right
helps you
there.
balance and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
So like yeah, so your road work, you should have like light pole or power poles or the what are they? Like the power poles, I guess. Power
Yeah,
lines,
yeah,
the
I know
poles.
what you
You
mean.
just run lateral back and forth from there, but put that into your miles. Running laterally, running backwards, throwing punches while you run. I mean, just throwing punches while you run will increase the intensity of that run by so much. You'll be so gassed. You'll be like, damn. And it's getting your body accustomed to throwing punches in a very exhausted state. Also throwing some, some side steps, stepping side to side, running, stepping to the side, running,
Or
stepping
this could be
like a
all
skip.
agility type exercising.
Yeah,
But you
just
would want to put this
smaller.
early in the morning before you would start your actual boxing training.
Yeah, yeah, and you could also do it if you're not gonna do it in the morning. Do it at night before you go to either right before you wake up. So like wake up, go on that run, or go on that run, go to bed. So at night, late at night. So either early in the morning or late at night.
It just all depends on the
It
person.
it depends on your personal schedule, your personal preference. Me, I love waking up in the morning, getting a run in. That's my personal preference. Some people they like running at night. You know what I mean?
And there's nothing wrong with it. Most fights are at night.
Yeah,
So,
most fights are at night. A
but
lot of
amateur
pros do it
fights
at
would be in
night.
the during the day or in the morning. So
Exactly.
it's all
yeah.
up to your.
It's personal preference and what you feel comfortable, what you can perform at the best. Me,
As
I
long
gotta
as you're
have
putting
it.
in the work.
Yeah, as long as you're putting in the work at the end of the day.